Everyone, we'll call this regular council meeting of March 25th to order. Under presentations, we have none. Adoption of the agenda. Could I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented, please? Councillor Yanish, seconded by Councillor Moore. Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor? Carried. Councillor Vroba, you were in favor?
Sorry, I'm in favor.
Okay, no problem. Next, minutes. Could we have a motion, please, to adopt the minutes of the council meeting held on February 11th, 2019? Councillor Vroba, thank you. Councillor Nibs, any questions? If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, under original communications, delegations, and petitions, we have SETP minutes of February, Saskatchewan Transportation, Southeast Transportation Planning Committee. Councillor Moore, anything you'd like to tell us about that?
Thank you, Worship. Nothing other than we are having our, we're waiting for the budget, and so tomorrow we are having our AGM at Kenosha Lake, as we do every year, and try to decide where we want to put the money that is allotted to our area. And last year, 18, we pretty much covered everything that we needed to have done except 47 South, of which we have been assured that that's going to happen this in 19. So with that, we'll add on some more projects for this year that need attention more than others, and we totally find out that it's the traffic number that will decide what gets done. And
as far as prioritizing.
Yeah, and sometimes it's certainly not fair because the roads are beat up so bad. There may be maybe 3 or 4 farmers on that particular 2 miles, but maybe there's only 20 vehicles that travel it every day. So it kind of gets shuffled to the side. The other thing we can do is keep more maintenance on it, more graders, but that costs money, and that raises heck with the RM's budget as well. So yeah, so we're off to we think going to be a good start. And
good. Well, thank you, Councillor Moore, for your lobbying, because we will get 47 South looked at this year. We're very happy with that. And also, we're looking at getting done right up to Perkins.
That's very exciting.
And we appreciate, we'll have to thank our Cabinet Minister, Ms. Carr, for that, so that's going to help us out as well.
Well, and I don't want anybody to think we've totally forgot about the railroad crossings at Beanfate. I've been pounding on that for going on 5 years. I was assured in Regina the other day that it's going to get first-class attention this year because Lampman got theirs done. And as you know, that track is in bad shape. We're dealing with two, between the CP and the CN, which makes it more difficult yet to get everybody together. But we're just going to keep on our lady that runs the show for the time being and see if we can't get it finished up. And she's assured me that she will support us big time to get it done. So.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that, Councillor Moore. And are you willing to make a motion to accept these, the minutes of your meeting then?
Oh, for sure.
Okay, thank you. Have we got a seconder? Councillor Frank, all in favor? Carried? That was close. Okay, next, from the Minister of Environment and Climate Change. The City Clerk and I, well, we phoned Catherine McKenna a few times. We emailed her. We tried to get a meeting with our local stakeholders, with the Chamber and a few other people. We never did get to meeting, but she did thank us for the correspondence. And hopefully the equivalency that we need, the equivalency agreement will go through. Right now they're having hearings on, and people are sending in input. So hopefully we'll get that, and that'll mean a little bit more life for units 4 and 5. If we do not get the equivalency, that means that units 4 and 5 will be going down the end of 19, which will be a lot of hardship for our community. So hopefully that does not happen. Hopefully it will be, in fact, allowed to go through. So we'll keep you informed on that. Sure. Could we have a motion to file that, please, that report? Thank you, Councillor Nibs, seconded by Councillor Vroba. Any questions on that? Go ahead, Councillor Frank.
Just along with filing it, can we also send just one more letter, just reiterating the urgency that we've put through before, just that we would like to see
Okay.
this passed?
Okay, sure, will do. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, we have from Habitat for Humanity. We have a request for $10,000. Thank you for your support in 2017 towards the construction of our first Habitat for Humanity home in Estevan. We very much appreciate your support for Habitat for Humanity Estevan chapter's mission to build affordable housing and promote home ownership in our city. We're prepared for our second build in the spring of 19 and are requesting the city to consider providing funding support of $10,000 along with the waiver of permitting costs for this home in the same manner as was done on the first one. We understand the council needs a specific request for any financial support, and this letter is provided to meet this requirement. To this end, Habitat asks the Estevan City Council to consider providing the above described support to reduce the purchase price of a residential lot in Matchett Development on Siller Street, adjacent to our first home, constructed last year. We appreciate your consideration of this request and look forward to your response. What's the wish of council? Go ahead, Councillor Nibs.
We do have those lots on Wellick Road. Is there anything we can do on that and maybe a little bit more beneficial to them on those Wellick Road lots?
Well, I think they're looking at Sillers because I believe the developer is also helping out that owns them, so we're both in concert helping out to make it more affordable.
All right, thanks.
Okay, Councillor Frank?
Yeah, I too wanted to just ask about that. I know there's also a lot on 8th Street that we recently, that's now in our possession that does have some cost attributed to it, but overall, if we were to even just kind of break even on that, we'd be ahead, and I think a Habitat house would fit in nicely in that area and to the size of those houses, so that's one that we could certainly consider offering them just at a break-even cost to us, or where.
Okay, if you like, we can offer them those two considerations
But
and see.
absolutely, if they're
But-
getting a better deal, if it's worthwhile, I support this.
Okay.
So I
Either
would,
way.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, Councillor
Your
Nibs,
worship.
you made a motion, seconded by Councillor Frank, thank you.
No.
Any further questions?
I was just going to accept and make the motion to move ahead with giving them the $10,000. I believe that they've already got their lot, but I think those two suggestions are excellent suggestions for the future, and hopefully Habitat for Humanity, I also thought maybe could even look at already an existing house and maybe remodel it in the future years. That could be something.
Okay, City Manager?
Thank you, Councillor Verova, through your worship. We did bring that up when Mr. Barnstable came to talk to us, and because of the code requirements that are there, the costing to change electrical and stuff in a lot of the houses is actually prohibitive as compared to building. And there's some clause with the donations that are funded from some corporations towards that there was some restrictions, but they have looked at that.
Perfect. Thank you for that explanation.
Thank you, City Manager. Okay, we have the motion. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, we have a request from the Bruins for the Sportsman's Supper event permit. Do you have a copy of that?
Yep.
Was that handed out?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think so. I don't see it, but here we are. Okay, gotcha. Thanks. Okay, the Estevan Bruins Junior A Hockey Club is seeking approval for the sale of liquor and the use of Affinity Place. The letter of approval is required to obtain the liquor permit. The event is the Estevan Bruins Junior A Hockey Club Annual Sportsman's Dinner on April 26, 2019, beginning at 5 p.m. and ending at 2 a.m. Thank you in advance for your consideration. What's the wish of council on this? Councillor Yanish.
Thank you, Worship. Acceptance and approval.
Okay, thank you. Have we got a seconder? Councillor Nibs, thank you. Any further comments or questions? If not, all in favor? Okay, carried. Thank you. Next, under original communications, delegations, and petitions, we have our Council Remuneration Committee. And I guess we have Monica Kovac, who's willing, on behalf of the committee, to say a few words. Please step up to the mic, Monica. And yes, please. You'll have to turn it on. Just hit the talk. Yeah, thank you.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. The Remuneration Committee was established in mid-January 2019 and comprised of Monica Kovac, Kevin Smith, and Bernadette Wright. The city manager, Jeff Ward, and city clerk, Judy Pillwood, attended at all the meetings. The purpose of the committee was to review the mayor and councilors' remuneration, specifically to the impact of their salary in federal government bill C-44, with the removal of the 1/3 tax exemption for municipal government officials effective January 1st, 2019. The committee met on February 13th and March 6th, 2019 to review the information. At the February 13th meeting, the committee reviewed the background information on the current mayor and councilor salaries, hours of work, committees they are on, and the responsibilities. A list was provided on March 6th of the committees that you guys all represent. The per diem rates and one written concern from the electorate. The committee also reviewed the previous remuneration report and explored if there were any provincial tax exemptions. At the March meeting, it was noted that there is no provincial tax exemption for municipal government officials such as council members or MLAs. The remuneration committee briefly discussed the deduction amount of the mayor and councillor if they miss more than 3 meetings, regardless of reason. Excludes reasons such as excludes reasons such as personal or family illness or away on council business. And we also review out-of-pocket expenses and benefits awarded to councils. The committee looked and discussed other similar sized communities and how they manage the impact of Bill C-44 and removal of the 1/3 tax exemption. We also considered the salary rates of the mayor and councillors of cities of similar size. We found that the salary compensation varies in each city, making it difficult to apply their salary rates and formula to the city of Estevan Council. At our initial meeting, the committee was given 4 options to consider. Do nothing, essentially no change to the mayor or councillor salary and therefore result in a shortfall in their salary equivalent to the 1/3 tax exemption that is no longer in place effective January 1st, 2019. Option 2, meet the increase halfway, consider reimbursing 50% of the 1/3 tax exemption, as mentioned above. It would still result in a salary shortfall, but 50% less than in option 1. Option 3, provide full compensation so no shortfall in salary occurs during the mayor and councillor's term, keeping them whole, essentially fully compensating the 1/3 tax exemption for each position on council. Option 4, consider the MLA salary formula, use 50% of MLA salary for the mayor and 1/3 or 33% of the MLA salary for councillors, resulting in no need to have a public remuneration committee. Using option 4 means the council's member's salary would be based on the MLA's salary with the proposed formula 50% and 33% respectively. The March 6th meeting included further discussion of council's salary, provincial tax exemptions, per diems, changes occurring due to Bill C-44. Following this meeting, a summary of the discussion, including our recommendation, was provided by the city clerk to council. The report was further revised to reflect the Remuneration Committee's feedback and discussions. As part of the feedback discussion, the Remuneration Committee requested additional information of the typical expenses covered by the 1/3 tax exemption. This information was provided by the city manager, Jeff Ward. From that, a majority of the Remuneration Committee felt that it is responding to the council and the electorate. We acknowledge that as a Remuneration Committee, we did not actively seek any feedback from either party or stakeholders. We did receive one letter of concern from one ratepayer who does not support any salary increase. In summary, our final decision and recommendation is based on the Remuneration Committee's perspective. And the recommendation we're putting forward is that the Remuneration Committee is to meet this salary difference halfway for 2019. This would have the impact of $3,443 increase to the mayor's salary and a $1,047 increase to the council salaries, and further apply the same factor for the 2020 year, with the decision to be retroactive to January 1st, 2019. It should be noted this was not a unanimous decision. It is also suggested that the Remuneration Committee be formed before the next election to look at remuneration for the incoming City Council in November of 2020. Once again, this decision was not unanimous, and either was to continue on with the Remuneration Committee. That was not a unanimous decision. So,
Okay, well, thank you, Malika, and thank you, committee. Go ahead, Councillor Vrope.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you to the committee for your time that you put into try and look at this issue. Basically, I'm not in favor of the recommendation that's been put forward. I think a wage scale was already in place when I got elected in 2016, and the wage scale was for 2016 to 2020. The federal government did change the rules, and they took away our third exemption. That will change our taxes, or our net pay. Our gross pay has not technically been changed at all. The federal government changes the rules when they put the carbon tax in, which is going to affect everybody too. I spoke with many taxpayers in the city of Estevan. I couldn't find one that felt it was okay for us to increase our taxes. Excuse me. I know that other communities have done it. That's fine. They felt it was right. I personally will not be voting in favor tonight for us to increase this, and I'm asking my fellow council people to also not vote in favor of it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Vroba. Any other comments? Councillor Nibbs?
I'll leave
Okay, Councillor, anyone else?
it. You know what? No, I will.
Okay, go ahead.
I understand where you're coming from. We did change, we're changed on what we're compensated. That's why I will be voting in favor of it. Yes, we did say it was. I don't ever remember it ever saying it was till 2020 or 2019 or 2018. That being said, things beyond our control were changed. In the big scale of things, we're giving 100%, and I think that's something deserved by all the council. So I will vote in favor of it.
Okay, now, I guess what we're looking at, the government took 30% of the tax exemption away, and the committee is giving half of that back. So 15%, correct? Correct, okay. Any other comments? Go ahead, Councillor Yanish.
Thank you, Worship. This is to the committee. How'd you come up with half? The reasoning for half? Okay.
I guess part of the discussion was, the main focus at the time was to how to deal with the Bill C-44. You know, I personally didn't want to go against the committee that was set up a couple of years ago that set the rate over the 4 years. But I felt as a former councillor that there is a few out-of-pocket expenses that are unaccounted for. So I was just really looking to compensate you for those few out-of-pocket expenses. And that was really the only focus that I had, was based on that. You know, other than, you know, this was set out for 4 years. We had a change in Bill C-44, and I wanted to see that people were acknowledged for some of their out-of-pocket expenses. So that was that. I don't know, Monica, anything else?
That sums it up for me
Yeah.
too.
Okay, could I ask a question, Monica? What did your council do? Because RMs were affected as well. How did they deal with that?
My council has made no change in their current salary.
Okay, because I talked to Estevan and they increased their meetings for their regular meetings to help to mitigate that. And I know if you look at most of the other cities, they kept their net whole. Warman, Weyburn, Battleford went 90% this year, 10% the second year. The only one, Yorkton, kept it whole. Swift Current, no increase, but they pay $80,000 for the mayor and $30,000 for their councillors. So if you take the average of the cities in question, I think the mayor makes 60 and the councillors 18 to 20 is the average, if you did simple math, of the cities that we looked at. So, you know, just to put that out there. Now, we don't have to make this decision tonight. This is totally, we can give this some more thought. Councillor Frank, and then Councillor Moore.
Well, and that's good to hear, because I don't totally know if I'm prepared to make a decision tonight. The option I personally supported the most was going along with the MLA, and the reason I liked that is because this is always a testy subject. Nobody ever wants to know that their councillor is making any money. Obviously, in our economy, things are always tough regardless. That being said, I do agree with what you've just mentioned. Our council is among the lower provincially, and the amount of work that does go into this role certainly see some compensation, which is one of the reasons I like the MLA option, whatever those percentages might be, but just that way going forward, we can leave it up to the province, and when they take a decrease, we take a decrease, all of those kind of things. So that's the one I like the most. I personally, I don't know. I can support either way. I don't do this job for the money by any means, and I never would, but I definitely think for the time put in, I would support the option that there's certainly more value for our time than what we're putting in. So.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Frank. And the city manager had basically made that recommendation. We just want to get more feedback, and there's nothing wrong with us going out in the community and getting more feedback yet. Councillor Moore?
Thank you, Worship. I just have a little trouble with the 50%. I'd rather have seen nothing or full. 50%, it's like teasing a dog. What do you want to do that for? Like, it just don't make sense to me. Either give it to them all or don't give them anything. So when I heard about it, that's where I sit on it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Moore. Councillor Vrova?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just the one last thing I want to say about it is we do have a wage scale for till 2020 in place, so this would make a change. It would make a change to our gross pay. So our net pay truly is different for every one of us in this room, whether you're a $20,000 a year average earner or a $200,000. So that never ever comes into play. Like our net pay is different for each person. Our gross pay is not changing. The federal government just changed the way that we're allowed to do our taxes. So, and they do that every day for all of us. And at the end of the day, this is like maybe a $35 to $50 increase for us. It's not a large amount of money. And I feel like it should just be wait till the next council. And then again, with the committee, get them back up like we have in the past and let them decide for the next 4 years after us.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Vrova. What I would like to see, because we don't have a full council tonight, is give this some more thought. We can go back and poll our electorate, and then we can make a meeting with the full council and make this decision, if that's okay. Could we have a motion maybe to table this until hopefully next meeting? I'm sure Greg will be back, or Councillor Hoffert. Thank you, Councillor Moore. Seconded. Councillor Yanish. All in favor? Carried. Thank you so much. And again, thank you so much, committee. We know it's not easy anytime you're looking at doing someone else's wages, so it's not an easy task. So thank you all so much. Okay, yes, please. Thank you. We would appreciate that. Okay, good. Judy, you have those reports? Okay. Thank you. Yes, appreciate that. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Under written reports of committees, we've got the Art Council minutes of January 16th. Could we have a motion, please, on these? Thank you, Councillor Yanish. Seconded by Councillor Moore. Any questions? If not, all in favor? Carried. Next, under executive reports, we have from the tax assessor permission to proceed for title. City Treasurer, did you have anything to say on this? I mean, this is something we do every year. Just hit your button there.
Just wanted to know, let you guys know, like those big amounts.
Councillor Yanish, just hit the button, please. Sorry.
Yes, Trina just wanted everyone to know those big amounts that are on the second page, that they are the Motel 6 and Suburban, those bigger hotels are on there. So she just wanted you to know that.
Okay, I don't think we're supposed to say anything there, but sorry, I guess we should have left that mic off. Sorry about that. Please disregard that. But anyway, thank you for that, City Treasurer. Go ahead, Councillor Vrova.
I'll break that awkward silence now. So I was just wondering, this amount total owing, this was not put in our budget this year then, these amounts? These were kind of like in total tax collection? We already knew that these were amounts that we were not going to be collecting?
City Manager.
Thank you, Councilor Vorba. So you always have an outstanding tax arrears amount, and that fluctuates from year to year. So we never really budget on the estimate of what those could be, because up until this point, you're always working with them to collect it. Through the next stage of tax enforcement, there is additional levels to go through that you could still receive payment, and they just change your value of your outstanding until a point. We have not taken one in title for a few years, and that was more of an estate one. So we'll see. There's probably another 2-year process before you'd actually take title on these. You do work with the Saskatchewan Municipal Board as well for payment plans and like that. So we don't budget an amount to not collect. It's just a change in the outstanding arrears.
Thank you, City
Perfect,
Manager.
thank you.
Councillor Yanish.
Thank you, Your Worship, to City Manager. Is this higher than normal, or is it kind of the average amount that we're seeing?
Thank you, Councillor Adams. Obviously, with some of the larger amounts on there, it's a little different. Our total outstanding that went to council before that we advertised was actually quite a bit lower than last year. But I will have to get this report from last year on the actual ones that are going to lien enforcement, tax enforcement, and we can provide that the next meeting.
Sure, thank you.
I think it's fairly close, but with these 2 larger units, it probably puts it a bit over. Yep. Okay. Okay, could we have a motion to move forward on this? Thank you, Councillor Yanish. Seconder, Councillor Vroba. Any further questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, from engineering, we have a tender, Willock Road to Edward Street sidewalk tender. The successful tender is Turnbull Excavating for $71,490. What's the wish of council? Councillor Yanish.
Acceptance of approval for Turnbull
Okay,
to excavating to get this.
okay, thank you for that. Have we got a seconder? Councillor Moore. Okay, any further questions or comments? If not, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Next, Public Works dust control tender. We have Norm here this evening. I guess, Kafloom, you're off the hook. Did you want to say anything further? You're happy? Okay, exit stage right, my friend, quickly. Thanks for coming.
Good to see you.
Okay, thank you, Norm. We have the dust control tender. The recommendations are for distributors for $110,880. And you've got the list of all the areas that we do. Based on the submissions received, it's recommended the tender be awarded to the lowest bidder. Norm, did you have anything else to add?
Your worship, no, I don't.
Okay, thank you for that. What's the wish of council? Just a question. Go ahead, Councillor Moore, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Do we have any recovery on any of this, or is it all on the city's ticket? Do we do any for anybody else for monies, or?
No, we do not do any custom work. No.
Okay, thank you.
Although I think to answer Norm, the RM also gets the same product, do they not?
Yeah, the tanks are stored at the RM maintenance yard, and it's just handy for the city of Estevan to use the same product. But with that, there is companies can approach Fort distributors and they'll do the work for them. Okay. This price includes the application of the product.
Okay.
So it's not only the supply of the product, but it's the spraying of it.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Moore. Thank you, Norm. Any further questions? If not, the motion, please. Councillor Yanish, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Moore. Any further questions? If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, we have from Public Works, and Norm is going to stay for this one, the traffic paint tender. So, we have 2 tenders from Cloverdale and Sherwin-Williams. The lowest is Sherwin-Williams for $38,443.95, and the recommendation is to go with the low tender. What's the wish of council? Councillor Yanish, to go ahead, thank you. Seconded by? Thank you. Councillor Nibbs, any further questions? If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, thank you so much, Norm, for coming. Next, we have from Helen Fornwalt, the EMO report. She's been very busy, as you can tell, going over the report. Could we have a motion to accept the EMO report, please? Councillor Groba, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Moore. Any further questions or comments? If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, we have the Water Treatment Plant Manager Annual Water Report for 2018 and the Water Quality Report for January 2019. I guess, City Clerk, we should pass these separately?
Yes, please.
So first, yeah, they're separate documents.
One's annual and one's monthly.
Okay, thank you. So first, could we pass the annual report, which you have in your hands for 2018, please? It's a lengthy document. I know you all took the time and read it, and I thank you for that. What's the wish of council? Thank you, Councillor Groba.
Acceptance and approval, your worship.
Thank you very much. Have we got a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Moore. Any further questions or comments? I know it was a lengthy one. Councillor Moore?
Thank you, Worship. Have we at this point any idea what the savings may be for the product used for the drinking water once we hook up to Rafferty? Is there a number there, that a percentage, or are we going to?
Well, the issue we have right now, these trimethylanes, they're a product of the water reacting in the chlorine, and it produces these trimethylanes, which at high levels are not good for you. So by going to Rafferty, we'll be getting less dissolved solids in the water. It's a cleaner water product.
Yeah.
So then it'll be easier for us with ultraviolet light. That's how we disinfect, is through UV. So UV will be able to transmit through the water much more better and to dispose of these trimethylanes. So that's why we'd like to switch to Rafferty when this line is all done. And City Manager, you want to add to that?
Thank you, Councilor Moore, through your worship. In regards to the actual savings of the treatment, is that what you're indicating? I think we have a pretty standard process, but our process isn't bringing them down to the 100 parts per million, so that's why this is a requirement. Where we will see some savings is even running it through the ice plant at Affinity and a lot of those. Our water right now is very hard on that. It's hard on the showers, it's hard on that the softer water that's going to be coming out of this, the cleaner water, should help make the life of some of our assets last longer, would be where some of the savings are. But I believe the treatment process is pretty similar, but I can also get Shane to do up a quick memo on that to see if there was anything different we would be doing.
Even as in water heaters and the likes?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a cleaner product.
Okay.
Because the issue we have from Boundary, and I mean, it served us well, but with all the geese that don't leave anymore, their compass is food.
Yeah.
It's an issue because you have so many undissolved solids in the water. It makes it very difficult to treat. Okay. So with Rafferty, we'll have a cleaner product and easier to treat.
Good, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Yadish.
Thank you, Worship. I do believe it'll also make your hair softer too, won't it?
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, that'll mean a lot. Thank you. Thank you for that. My wife will be happy to hear that. Did we get a motion for that, City Clerk?
This is the annual one, the
I think we did. Okay, so now we'll need one, Council, from the monthly report for January 2019. Thank you, Councillor Yadish. Have we got a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Frank. Any comments or concerns? If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. And last but not least on that, the land development building permit reports for January and February, please. Could we have a motion for those? Councillor Nibs, seconded by Councillor Vroba. Any further questions? If not, all in favor? Thank you. Councillor Vroba and Councillor Yanish, you're doing double duty over there with Councillor Hoffert gone. Just want to let you know we appreciate that. So next we have under introduction of bylaws, bylaw 2019-2012 to amend the traffic bylaw 16-1963 to reduce the speed to 60 north of Willock Road. Now I thought, City Clerk, that was already in effect, wasn't it?
The Minister of Highways changed the rate, but they didn't go back and change the bylaw. So that's why it doesn't coincide. So this is just fixing that in.
Okay, good. Okay, well, thank you for clarifying that, because I know I go to work every day, and heaven forbid if I go over 60, and I appreciate that. Our police are right on the money out there, but boy, you go over 60, you're taking your life in your hands. Councillor Travis?
That's good to hear too, because I wondered that if I drive that quite regularly, I wondered why this was coming up. But I also wanted to just mention, just while we're on this discussion, one thing that I have family that lives over in that new Trimount subdevelopment, and I turn quite regularly onto Morski Drive, and that becomes a little bit of a troublesome area because you've got people starting to speed up to go 60 to go out onto the highway and people slowing down to turn. So I wondered if we could take to the traffic committee to review.
Thank you for bringing that up, Councillor Frank. We've already addressed that, and we're asking our cabinet minister, Ms. Carr, to have a look at that and give us another lane in
I was going
there.
to say, because the twin lane,
That's right.
the 2 lanes ends just shy of there. If we just could get that extended a little bit, I'm glad that's been brought up because
Yeah,
that's something that
hopefully
I've
now-
had concerns about. And
Exactly, thank you. And hopefully now that they're in town with the 47 South, maybe we can twist a few arms with our good representative and have her help us on that when the contractor's in town.
yeah, just looking at it here, it wouldn't take very much to extend.
No.
It's not very far off from where that second lane ends. So.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you for that. So we just need first reading tonight, City Clerk, thank you. Could we have a motion for first reading? Thank you, Councillor Yanish, seconded by Councillor Nibbs. Any questions? Go ahead.
I just have a
Councillor
question, Your Worship. So technically, with this 60-kilometer bylaw, this would be the time for people who have an issue with it being lowered to 60 to come forward, bring their concerns to the city?
Well, 60 is pretty low, and it's all the way out to the bypass.
So if we had a change of heart and we made our bylaw to 80, then,
Yeah, Department of Highways won't allow it.
okay,
Sorry.
so this really is not the time that anyone can bring their concerns
No,
forward.
they actually supersede us, Councillor
what I
Groba.
thought.
That's their area out there, and we
Okay.
already tried to get it
Yeah.
to 80. They said, nope,
Okay,
not
because
gonna
I
happen.
have heard a lot of concerns, and it might have been when I was driving with you out to the airport.
And let the record show clear, we were not speeding, okay?
No,
I
he
just
set
wanna-
his cruise to 60.
Okay, thank you for that. Is that concerns or why? Okay, all in favor? I think we got that, right? Okay, thank you. Public hearings and reports, we have none this evening. Giving no notice, nothing this evening. Motions from committee, none. Consideration of bylaws, none. Inquiries, Councillor Groba, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I was just going to say that I attended the OCP presentation at the Leisure Center that we had this week. We had one on Wednesday, and we also had another one on Saturday. I attended the Saturday session.
Yeah,
and
thank you for
Richard-
that. I couldn't make it, but thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Hofford he had signed in just before me, but he wasn't there when I got there, and, yes,
Greg has a
actually,
way of doing that. You look around, he's gone. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Richard Newfield was very informative for anyone else that stopped in. I'm pretty sure that they would have got, a lot of good information. So thank you to him for doing that, for sitting there, and, the new areas and different areas that he wants to implement. So yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you for attending, Councillor Groba, and we're looking forward to the new OCP, and I know he's put in a lot of work and a lot of feedback from the public. And we'd like to thank all of our public that participated in that, because that really means a lot when we put these bylaws forward to have that necessary input. Thank you. Councillor Yanish? Okay, thank you. Councillor Frank?
I actually have one. This is something that's been just kind of finalized today, so I haven't even sent it to all the rest of council yet. But this Thursday at the college, we'll be having a few guest speakers down from some of the other business incubators throughout the province coming in to talk a little bit about technology. There's some initiatives the college is wanting to work on, as well as different ways that we can promote business in our community. So that's at 5:30 at the college, and if you'd like to register, I'll have it on my Facebook page, and I'll make sure it gets shared off to the city so we can promote a little bit. But that's coming up, and it's going to be some great informative conversations. So.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Frank. Councillor Nibbs? Nothing this evening? Okay, thank you. Councillor Moore?
Thank you, Worship. Having as much traffic as we've had around Affinity for the last week or so, I believe we should review how many garbage receptacles we have, because even as it sat before this kind of traffic, you can pick up all you want, but you got no place to deposit it till you get in the building that we could sort out. And it's very frustrating. You pick it up and then you go, well, what am I going to do with it now? So we should probably have more than less, because that's pretty heavy traffic, and everybody's got half a bag of popcorn or whatever they have. So we could just review it and see what else we could put over there.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Councillor Moore. In fact, we're having probably a sellout crowd tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's a very good idea to have extra receptacles out. I'm sure city manager can make that happen.
Just,
And we're also going to have extra security, which will be helpful as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. City manager?
Nothing out, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. City clerk?
Nothing, Your Worship.
Thank you. City treasurer? Nothing? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, Your
Councillor
Worship, I was
Brew.
just wondering if you could just elaborate what's going on at If Any Place tomorrow night?
Yes, the Bruins, Game 7. It will be very exciting. I'm sure there's still maybe a few tickets for sale, but please spend your hard-earned cash and come out to the game. It'll be fantastic. We're looking forward to moving ahead and going on to bigger and greater things after tomorrow night. So please come and enjoy yourself. Thank you, Councillor Vroba. And with that, could we have a motion, please, to move into committee? Councillor Yanish, seconded by Councillor Vroba. All in favor? Carried. Thank you so much, and good evening. We stand closed.